Alright, what's up, y'all? So, this is my first video on credit, my actual first official video. I had mentioned I was gonna do a video on credit. Today was a interesting day. Biden he signed for the stimulus check. We already know it's gonna happen. The whole package, the 1.9 trillion COVID relief package. We knew that was gonna be signed today. But it's crazy though that a lot of people were on social media saying that they already got their stimulus is pending. So that's a beautiful thing, and it's a great time. Honestly, it's a great time to really build yourself up because you have the stimulus package on top of tax returns for a lot of people. So it's just a blessing right now. There's a lot of things that can be done at this particular moment. Stocks is gonna be crazy. Stocks was crazy today, but I'm not really gonna talk about that. I want to focus more so on credit. Um, I basically mentioned about piggybacking and stuff like that. The real term is called trade lines, but in layman's terms, we call it piggybacking or whatever. Basically, that's just something that you it's really what the name says, piggybacking. If you have a family member, it could be anybody. Honestly, it could be anybody, but it's more so recommended if you have a family member or a loved one, somebody you're dating, and they have a really good credit score, or even just one card that is really good, the history. What you would do with that is you would basically have them, or they would have, they would put you on their card. So that's why it's called piggybacking, because obviously what happens is you take their history. So in other words, if you have a year worth of credit, that's it, and your credit is only, let's say your max is $500, and this family member or friend, whoever, it could be anybody to be honest with you, decides to put you on their card. What happens with that is, let's say their card that they put you on, they have 5 years and they have $2,000. What happens is now your history and your limit is going to change, even if they don't even give you the card, which is honestly what most people do. They'll basically not actually give you the card, so you actually will not have any power to hurt their credit score. So, but there's also, there's pros and cons, of course, and I'm going to explain that too. So basically what will happen is your actual amount would go from 500 to 2500 on credit paper. I'm gonna say credit paper because obviously you're probably not gonna have that access to that card, so you won't really have access to the $2,000. But as far as your credit history goes, it will still be on there. So now you went from having $500 to $2,500, which is a nice little boost. Also, your history will change. It won't say that you had credit for a year now. Now it's going to say your oldest card or your oldest credit history line is 5 years, because like I said, whoever put you on that card, you get all of their history on that one card though. So if they have a history of 10 years, but they put you on a card for 5 years, don't look at it and be like, oh, I'm about to get 10 years, because you're not. You're going to get the history of that card. So you get the good and the bad. I'm going to say the good and the bad, and that's where the pros and cons come in. The pros is, let's say that 5 years, they never missed a payment on that card. It was never late. It was never a delinquent account. You get a perfect paid history on your credit, a perfect paid history. So I feel like that's perfect. That's a good thing. Here's the bad part though. Let's say that card they have a bad, payment history. That would also go in your credit report. So even though you didn't do anything, it won't look like that on your credit report. It'll look like that you've been negligent on these payments with this person, because it's now going in your history in your credit report. So it's really just be mindful of the type of credit that you're incorporating. There's also sites and stuff like that that I've seen where people actually sell their trade lines, because they can have a card that might have $10,000 on there, $20,000 on there. They might sell that card to you for a few $1,000s. It might sound crazy, but if you're really in a situation where you're trying to build your credit up, I mean, this is just stuff that goes on. I'm not going to get too much into that one, but it's definitely something that is a key factor of building credit fast. That's something that can be done. Um, the biggest pro to that though is whoever puts you on their card, they got to be mindful about using it. So let's say I'm putting you on a card where I have $2,000 and this is my only card that I really use. So what happens is, if I use this card, it can hurt you. It can also hurt you. So the limit may change, or whatever the case is, if I'm using it. So if you got 2,500 now, I got 2,000. You know, like I said, I added the 2,000 to your 500, and now I decide to use $1,000. Mind you, I'm using $1,000, but I probably have other cards, so I might not really feel that thousand like that. But you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel that thousand because now you'd be down to 1,500, and you're basically hovering around, almost hitting 50% of your entire credit usage. That utilization is a very big hit on your credit. Utilization is very strong. That right there makes a very big difference. So now you're looking at it and you're like, your score dropped tremendously, and I'm looking at you and I'm like, what did you do? And then really, it's not even you, it's really me. So I mean, that's something that people got to be mindful of. So anybody that wants to even get into doing trade lines and stuff like that, and you want to actually be the person that's giving out the trade lines, that's fine. But you have to be mindful that whoever's on your card, anything that you do on that card now, you have to think about yourself, of course. Your credit score always comes first, let's be honest. But then you also have to think about that person that you put on. So if you put somebody on and you're using that card, it's a good chance that your trade line situation is going to actually hurt them and not help them. So that's something to really pay attention to and be mindful on. Next, I'm trying to think. That for me, trade lines is one of my favorite, topics. I can go on and on about that. I can go a whole bunch of details on that because it's very convenient at the same time. The pros and cons, there's more. I'm probably gonna put it in my bio so you guys can subscribe to that, and I'm gonna get more into detail. I'm pretty sure there's more pros and cons, but I gave you the biggest pros and cons right then and there. Another thing is, when it comes to credit, there's this misconception that a lot of people have to this day, which I don't know, it kind of baffles me at this point that a lot of people still carry these old industrial ideas for, I'm gonna say, when credit and everything was basically new to a lot of people, and a lot of people really didn't understand credit. So a lot of people have this misconception that it's bad to have a lot of credit cards or a lot of credit accounts. It's not true. It's not bad at all. It's actually better. You're actually at less risk of hurting your credit score with discipline. But anything you do when it comes to finances is all a matter of discipline, no matter what you do. So that's, I feel like that's neither here or there. It's really more so you have more flexibility because you have more credit. So again, like I said, utilization, it doesn't just hit one card, it hits your credit as an entirety. So if you have one card or two cards and they both have $2,000 on them, your really max is only at $4,000. So it's like you use 2,000 right now. Guess what? You just used half your utilization. So if you're like, oh, let me break it down. You know what? Let me just use, 1,000 here and 1,000 on this one, thinking that it's not going to be as bad. No, it's still going to be the same. You could have just used 2,000 on the one card. So that's usually that. Of course, I'll never ever advise anybody to ever max out because maxing out will honestly hurt your credit, and it's because when you max out, you have to think about the interest fee that will hit. So let's say you got $1,000 and now you're like, I'm about to max out, I'm gonna use this 1,000 real fast, but I'll pay it right back. Don't do that because once you hit that 1,000, what's gonna really happen is you're gonna go over, and the minute you go over, you're gonna lose points in your credit card. I mean, not your credit card. I'm sorry, your credit. Period. You're gonna lose points because they're gonna look at it and it's gonna go over your limit. So forget just maxing out now. Now you went over your max out, and that's automatically gonna take high points off of your credit score. It's gonna reduce it. So I don't recommend that at all. A lot of people would think that if you're at 30%, that's great. No, go under 30%. Try to use utilization at 29% and under. And it's funny because people go for 30%. 30% is yellow. It's good. I'm sorry, no, it's fair. Let me be specific. It's fair. It's not good. It's actually just fair. 30 to 49% utilization is fair. Of course, but it doesn't hold the same power because 30% and 49% is way different. Because if you're at 49%, your credit score is definitely going to drop. Even though it's still saying that you're in fair, you're still using a lot of your credit. And you're very dangerously close to hitting 50%. 50% is poor. Once you hit 50%, you're going red. And that's just really that. You never want to get there. And then of course, after 50%, 75% and up, you're in very poor, and you don't want to be there at all, because that's gonna really destroy your credit. You have to really watch your percentages. But 29% is actually considered good. So I feel like that's the most important number to get to. Good is green. You always want to go green as best as you possibly can. Excellent is pretty hard to do for a lot of people, which is understandable, because if I'm not mistaken, excellent is from zero. I'm gonna say it again, from zero. In other words, you can have a whole bunch of credit, I use it, zero to, I believe, 10 or 11%. So after that percent, it goes from, like, I think 11 to 12, one of those, to 29%. That's good. That's all the good range. So if you're at 15% and you feel like you're excellent, you're actually not excellent, you're in good. But honestly, that's still a percentage that you want to be in, so it's not a big deal. But like I said, if you have more cards, taking out that same amount of money, $2,000, and let's say you got 5 cards and they all have $2,000 on them, you're chilling. You got $10,000. So at the end of the day, you take out that two, your percentage is still not gonna really drop. You're gonna feel it, of course. Anytime you use credit, you're gonna feel some type of difference. But it's not gonna be as critical as it would be if you only had those 2 cards. And then, the other thing is, oh, but why would you do that when you can just have one card that has $10,000 on them? It sounds great, but you always want a backup. My financial goal with this, when it came to credit, was I wanted a backup card. First of all, credit's supposed to be a backup when you have cards. It's not supposed to be your main outsource, your main resource of finances. It's just not. When it comes to credit cards, you don't want to just start going and be like, you know what, I'm going to put all my checks or whatever I'm getting my money from in the bank and just use my credit cards all day. You can do a strategy like that. I'm going to talk about that in greater detail in my bio, but that should never be the main strategy unless you are highly disciplined, because that can go very, very bad quickly. Basically, when you have these cards, I look at it as I have a backup for a backup, and then another backup. That's really it. It's not really nothing to that when it comes to it. I mess people up all the time because I tell them, like, you know what, when we talk about credit, I like to talk to the people that say, oh, it's bad to have, a whole bunch of cards. And I look at them and I say, well, I got 13 credit cards. And then they look at me and they're like in shock, and I'm just like, well, I got 13 credit cards. My credit score is over 800. What's yours? And automatically they try to justify, like, oh, well, that's bad. And how? My credit score is over 800 effortlessly, by the way. I don't even try. At this point, I really mess with my credit. Like, I literally will mess with my credit to where I'll do a crazy purchase on something, watch my score drop all the way down, and control it to the point where I'm like, okay, I put this amount on there. You'll see my credit just shoot right back up. Like, I think a few months ago, I shot back up like 71 points or something like that. I was at 700 and something. Then I shot all the way up to 815 just by making some easy payments. It's not really hard. Once you have it mastered, I'm not relying on just one credit card or 2 credit cards. Keep in mind, I'm pretty disciplined when it comes to that. So I don't just use all my credit. I don't go out there and be like, you know what, everything's on credit. No. I rarely use everything on credit. What I actually do is I'll have one main card. That's something I do. I'll have one main card where it will handle a lot of my purchases. And then, like I said, I'll have the backup cards. Also, shopping, store cards. I'm going to get into that again on, my bio. I'm going to give, like I said, full detail, but here's the quick breakdowns to that. Store cards are nice because they can also boost your credit. And then again, with store cards, you're not using it for everything. You're not using it for your day-to-day life. You're really using it for shopping. So you're not gonna, well, hopefully you're not gonna shop every single day. So the reality is you're gonna shop, use your card, get a discount on what you're buying, and then just pay it back. Your credit will grow quickly, quick fast off of that. So that's something else that you could look into. Like, at one point I had a rule, and my rule was I can't shop in your store if you don't have a credit card. That's really it. If you don't have a credit card, I can't shop in your store. And that's just really how I felt, because these credit cards, they tell you, oh, if you take out and get a credit card now, you'll get 15% off or 25% off, and you can also get cash back, or you can get rewards on your purchases. That actually saves money. So why would I not try to go for that if I'm trying to do financial strategies? As I said, I go by my brand, Press Financials, because I'm not just talking about stocks. I can divvy out and jump into stocks 100% all the time, but I'm not just going with just stocks, because there's so much more to it when it comes to finances. So I mean, that's just something else that I've been looking at. um Other than that, I'm trying to think what else is there that I can touch base on right now. That's my main pet peeve, though, for the people that really believe this industrial, error. Sorry, I'm gonna call it an error, because it was explained to a lot of people that the more credit cards you have, or the more credit that you have, the more at risk you are. That's not actually true. You're actually more at risk if you don't know how to handle finances, if you're not financially disciplined, if you're the type of person that sees a whole bunch of money or a whole bunch of cards that are, buying power is what I like to call it, and you just can't handle it, and you just want to use your buying power up and just buy, then yeah, you're putting yourself at risk, of course, because you're just putting yourself in more of a debt. But there's also a thing of good debt and bad debt. We'll get into that too. Like I said, I'm gonna put my link up. It's gonna be right in the description, or whatever the case is, and hopefully you guys will subscribe, and we can really go from there. You guys can ask me personal questions about it. If you have any type of questions at all, feel free to contact me. I'm definitely here, and I'm definitely here to assist and give any type of knowledge of stuff that I know about and stuff that I'm personally doing. That's why it makes it pretty much easier for me to just talk about it, because I'm actually doing it. Prior to people that would see somebody else doing it and then try to talk about that experience. I can tell you from my own personal experiences. Yes, I have 13 credit cards. My credit score has hit 815. It's very easy, to be honest with you. It's very easy. The hardest part was if I wanted to go shopping and I would look, at certain cards that I've used and be like, all right, I got to keep a list of what cards I got to pay. But at the same time, I'm pretty financially disciplined to where I'll have all these cards and I will probably only use three, and two of them will be store cards. And only one of them would be like an actual, just regular full out credit card. And then again, with that one full out credit card, I would still have five other backup credit cards. So it just makes it much easier for me to know some of my finances. I'm not really stressing. It's kind of cool to have the ability. And this is what I tell people: it's cool to have the ability to do something prior to just doing something. And what I mean by that is, why show out on certain things when it's unnecessary? You're spending unnecessary money for what, when you can do it anytime you feel like it because you have it. Sometimes it's nice to indulge, of course, but it's just really all about financial discipline when it comes to credit. And that's just the misconception a lot of people have. Also, hard inquiries, of course. 13 credit cards, you would imagine that I had a lot of hard inquiries. Yeah, but the thing with that is, I would take out these cards pretty close to each other. So at this point, I don't have 13 hard inquiries on my credit report now. It only lasts up to 2 years. And then on top of that, there's actually a way to get off hard inquiries if you didn't get the credit. So if I didn't get the credit, for what I'm getting a hard inquiry for, take that hard inquiry off. What I personally was using was Credit Karma. However, Credit Karma has a different scoring system. A lot of people say that it's not accurate. No, actually, Credit Karma is very accurate. It just has its own scoring system, and it's going with two of the credit bureaus out of three. So the only one it doesn't have is Experian. Um, FICO score, of course, will be different because FICO score factors in all three of your credits, all three of the credit bureaus or whatever. However, there's a way to have FICO score also. Me personally, I was using the Discover It card, which I'm very fond of that card. But they also their online app, they actually give you the FICO score, so it makes it pretty easy. You can basically look at those. Um, yeah, I'm gonna talk more about credit in more videos coming up. I just want to officially touch base on credit, even though there's a lot going on in the stock market too today. But I really just wanted to touch base on credit because I felt like I've been talking about the stock market. I'm pretty sure it's like my fourth video at this point, and I've been talking more so about stocks. It's just been so much going on with stocks, but credit is equally important, if not honestly probably more important. As crazy as that may seem, stock money is building up wealth and stuff like that for the future, or it could be a fast cash out. But credit is something that you also need, and it plays a very big key because there's a lot of things that makes it much easier. As I tell people, I got my car off of stocks and credit, literally stocks and credit. So, and without the stock money, I still could have got my car because of the credit. So, I think it's just really important to keep these things, in mind. I didn't want to make this video too long, but unfortunately, like I'm very big on credit. I'm more big on credit than I am on stocks. I'm not sure if you guys can tell that, but I'm definitely more big on credit than stocks. I love credit because at one point in time, credit was really something that saved me. I went through a really bad situation, and credit really kept me together. So I've learned over the course of time on how to really utilize credit. So there's still so many techniques that are still out there that I'm still even discovering, and I'm gonna share with you guys in my upcoming videos. But thank you for all the love and support. I appreciate you guys. Definitely check my subscription. I'm gonna have my link so you guys can subscribe and we can really get into more details. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.